Hello, hello, good morning. The usual Space Junkie takeover is back. I hope you all are doing very good. Let's just say in advance that Felix is not here. I know a lot of people are usually asking, but this is something that we always need to lay down as a solid foundation for this program. So this is gonna be me, Sabi, and I've got David here with me. Hi, David. How are you?
Hi Sabi, hello everyone. Nice people all around the world. So yeah, we are back again. And yeah, we are still not Felix, neither me nor Sabi. Hopefully most of the people are get used to these Monday shows, but if not, then we are a Hungarian team called Space Junkie, and it's our cooperation with the What About It channel, and yeah, it's about our. I can say that it's already a regular show every day, or almost every Monday in about 1 hour, and we talk about, of course, mainly about Starship, but something else if it's quite interesting topic.
Indeed, we're gonna cover quite a bit of Mars today, because there are some things going on at NASA, and they have some very how can I say high aiming plans for sending humans to Mars. So we're
Mhm.
gonna cover that, but I think first and foremost the most important question is when Flight 11, because I think that's what everybody is interested about.
Of course, yeah. So we can say that halfway is done about the preparations on the way of Flight 11. So the booster is already static fired, as you all know, or hopefully you all know, but the ship 38 is still uh, to go. And yeah, that's a quite nice photo about the booster 15-2 um,
If
static
Jonathan will
fire.
show us to us,
Yeah, and yeah, you will
I
see quite soon. And yeah, so the
there you go.
booster was static fired,
Mhm.
and now the OLM has to be redesigned as well uh, for for um, for fitting the ship. So yeah, the preparations are already done on the OLM, and now the main question is when the mechanical things are done on ship 38. But hopefully we are not so far from it, and maybe in the next couple of days they can roll out ship 38. So they will do at least some tests, some engine tests. We are not sure about whether it will be an full static fire or even it will be only a spin prime test. But maybe this will happen this week, so we don't have to wait too much.
Mhm. Indeed. I don't know what else should we cover regarding to maybe Pad B, because there was some action at Pad B.
Yeah, or pet too. So nowadays they seems to start to call it pet 2 instead of pet B. So they
Mhm.
currently working pad is pad 1, and which is under construction is the pad 2, at least
Mhm.
at Starbase. We don't know how they will call it at Florida, but that's a different story. So
Pad
let's focus on Starbase.
Pad 2.1.
Yeah, or 2F like Florida. So yeah, as you can see, the outside coverings are getting to build and getting to put in places. But which is more important that there were some quite big milestones with about the testing, about the system checkings, better to say. So, for example, there was um, the QD check. I mean the oxygen side QD, so the quick disconnect arm or the whole quick disconnect system. Um, how to say moving. So they tried it for the first time, and after it, actually that's the water deluge test. You can
Mhm.
see
We've
some,
got a video about it.
yeah. That's the water deluge system test. That was the second milestone this weekend, and yeah, it seemed quite normal. So nothing strange happened, and actually before this one. with couple of days, there was this LQD, or yeah, maybe, or oxygen side QD arm restriction, or restriction, sorry. So yeah, both of the tests were nicely performed, and yeah, actually these are the quite good signs that maybe this pet 2 is nearing to finishing with the construction. But of course the hardware itself, it's it's not finished at all. I mean, booster 18 and ship 39, which will be the third stage, sorry, third generation, first and second stages. So yeah, that's that's all can I about say that.
Okay. And we've got some interesting photos from Star Factory, but I don't think we do have any real information regarding to what the heck could this be, because nobody knows.
Yeah, there
Maybe an
were some
SRB, Jonathan is saying in the back channel.
there were some quite interesting guessing. So yeah, one of the option is it's SRB made from steel, but maybe another option is that's a header tank, and of course it's a new design because we haven't seen it before. And the SpaceX guys thinking about quite interesting things, and they are figuring out something new all the time. So we are not sure 100% what's that, but
Mm-hmm.
hopefully it will be figured out somehow in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, just for one sentence about the timeline for a flight 11. Of course, we don't know. There is no exact plan when it can happen. But if when and if ship 38 will be tested this week, maybe we can, or SpaceX can aim very beginning of October, hopefully. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe the first of October, maybe they can launch. There were some rumors that maybe they are aiming earliest 25 or 25th of September, but maybe it's too close already. So we are only 10 days from it. So maybe it's a bit short timeline, but yeah, if the ship will be tested in the second half of the this week, then maybe, as I mentioned, beginning of October is feasible.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. I mean, as we said before, there's not much to talk about Starship. I think we summed up pretty much what's going on and when can we expect Flight 11. That's why we kind of wanted to talk about going to Mars, because at the moment there are lots of rumors about, well, probably you all heard that NASA just announced a very important announcement that they made not too long ago. And we need to take this with a pinch of salt, because, or with a grain of salt, because we just don't know yet. And I mean, I can see in the chat that somebody's already saying that this might be another life on Mars hoax. Yes, we know that it's not that simple to actually prove
It's not
whether.
simple but sample.
Okay, I didn't see that coming. Uh, so it's not that simple to.
Sorry.
I'm doing it on purpose now. So it's not that easy to find out whether it's really life related or not. You can see those spots, and at the moment, after spending about 1 year, we within the NASA team, they try to come up with any ideas that's not related to life or microbial life that could contribute to leave these marks on these in these stones. But let's probably say this out loud right now, that this is not life on the Mars. This is
Yeah.
ancient signs of life of Mars. So there's nothing alive what the Perseverance rover found or supposedly found, but this is just the signs that at some point some microbial life existed on Mars, because this is Jezero crater, and
Mhm.
that used to be a place where lots of water used to be, and that's why Perseverance came right here, because if there is any good places where you could probably find signs of life, early signs of life, then this is it. So, not jumping onto any conclusions, NASA now said that basically they are looking for other scientists coming up with different explanation that could explain that exactly what this could be, or confirming or denying
Mhm.
whether it has anything to do with life. Yeah.
Yes, the wording is quite careful,
Hmm.
if I can say that. So as it was mentioned on the on this conference, which was held last Wednesday, so 10th of September. So they mentioned as a potential biosignature. So the main word is the potential. So they are not sure, and however they have analyzed this sample almost a year or maybe a bit more than a year. It shows that they are very careful about what and how to make it to the public. So something is found, that's for sure, by Perseverance, and it's a very good sign because as Sean Duffy mentioned, it's the closest they have ever come to discovering life on Mars. And yeah, the life is not like a technological species like humans, but microbiological and very ancient life. Okay, so we have to make difference. What kind of life do we are searching? Do we searching? And yeah, but Percy has found something, and it's a quite good milestone because nothing was happened, or nothing like happened before. So yeah, we don't want to go into the details very much because
We
yeah,
can't go into
and
details
we
because
because we
we
can't.
don't have much information
Yeah.
about that. One thing is sure, that now we've got Curiosity and Perseverance rovers
Hmm.
roaming on the surface of Mars, and this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, they had this idea that this particular rover is going to collect some samples, and you can see some of, well, one of these sample that it just drops
And
on
it's
the
not a
surface.
lightsaber.
Okay, enough of those jokes, please, for today.
No, it wasn't my joke. It was a it was a old and quite bad joke previously when these first samples were dropped.
Right. So, so it's keep dropping these samples, and at some point, these supposed to be collected by a Mars sample return during a Mars sample return mission, and well, that's not going well, is it?
No. So the main problem of NASA that they are very limited in terms of analyzing these samples. So of course, most the Curiosity and but rather the Perseverance has its own onboard laboratory, if I can say that, but it's very limited. They have a
Yeah.
very limited opportunity to analyze it, and it's quite slow. That's why Mars sample return would be a very good solution and a very fast way. But the fast is maybe not the right word for MSR because it's very slow program, and it's getting very expensive, and of course delayed many times already. But that would solve the problem that somehow and someone or anywhere around in the near future they could collect these samples and get it back to the earth, because of course here on the earth we would have, or the scientists would have much more opportunity, and they weren't limited like Percy is on Mars to analyze these samples, and maybe we could find much bigger I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, some of these samples are already dropped, but they have to wait until something is is going to them. But yeah, that's for now. So the MSR is still waiting, and we don't know. There is still a plan, but actually the solution and of course the timeline is not so solid. So that's the main problem, that it's getting even more expensive, but the architecture is still not confirmed yet. So, and in the meantime, Rocket Lab has a different version or an offer, better to say, that they could do it much faster and in a much cheaper way. So they have already worked out a plan last year, and according this plan, they could solve everything or they could manage it until 2031. So the second next, or maybe with the third next Mars window, when they could send these descending and the ascending vehicle to Mars, and they could get back these samples quite fast. Because currently the Mars sample return, as far as I know, and maybe the latest version of the MSR is about around the 2040s, and that's the earliest. Again, 2040s. So still, still 1.5 decade at least. So it's quite terrible how this timeline is just getting longer and longer, and it's quite terrible that NASA is struggling with this program. However, with these samples, it seems that it should have been even more and more important to solve it somehow, but because of there is no solution, it's just getting more expensive and more longer period of time. So that's and in the meantime there is the Rocket Lab offer, but NASA seems to be not to get it or not to take it, at least a part of it. So it's quite strange why they don't want to um, get into these plans with Rocket Lab and going some cooperations with the company. So that's quite sad, because with these samples we could be much clever and yeah, maybe we could find some surprises what we don't know yet, because it's not known. So yeah, that's the story
Um,
about it.
so I hope I can find this regarding to Mars. Yeah, so probably you all heard that there are some cuts regarding to science missions at NASA, and as you see here, the big X on MSR, that's marking that that was a proposed way of well, you can see how many cuts they are trying to do in terms of science missions, and it's still hanging in the air. But as you, David, you were saying, I mean, 2040. So that's
At
and
earliest.
yeah, it's 15 years from now, and it's actually, I don't know. It's quite hard to comprehend that exactly where the administrate not the administration, the whole um, office is going with this, because clearly the best would be if people could go there. We're gonna we're gonna talk about this soon, but the best would be if people could be going there and they land. They can pretend they are Mark Watneys and they just do their own researches, and yeah, boots on the ground. That's the easiest way to do that. Do the science.
Mhm.
To get there, that's not the easiest way, right? Because humans,
Yes.
they are just difficult to transport there, and we're gonna again cover that in a second. But here is Rocket Lab, and I don't know if they ever gonna find enough funding to do it by themselves and just collect those samples. But at the moment, it looks like that the one hand is not really anticipating what the other hand is doing. So they
Mhm.
keep on dropping these very, very important samples, but it's gonna take so long until they're gonna get back, because it's not easy to go to Mars. Let's just, yeah, it's a fact. At the moment, NASA is even struggling to go back to the moon, and that would be probably the first step. Just let's find out how to get there, how to stay there, how to build tiny colonies, how to look after themselves, find out the technologies, robotics, all that you need to actually support any Mars missions. And it's not looking great, because the money is now sort of channeled into human missions, mostly to human missions. NASA is big time neglecting science missions, and I don't know if that's the good direction, because science is just as important as I don't know, going to places, and you need an aim for that. So why do we go to Mars?
Mhm.
We already did that mistake with the moon. We went there 6 times, and that's it. We lost interest because you were there, and okay, so what do we do here apart from squashing a little bit of science into that? But the purpose was not to stay there. Luckily, it is now. So probably that's the good direction, isn't it?
Yeah, but unfortunately, the new moon program, the Artemis program, is getting delayed over time again and again. Hopefully, maybe we are already over it. So I mean, no more, no more delays will be dropped, or at least just couple of more delays, but not so big and long delays like previously. So yeah, the main problem is, and maybe we can turn to this next topic, that how can we reach the moon with humans. And yeah, this nice guy, this Sean Duffy, which who is the acting administrator currently at NASA, just dropped a bomb. That he mentioned that they could send the first humans to Mars at beginning of 2030s. So not 40s, 30s. So in about 5 or 6 years, or let's say 7 years. and and the main question is how and with what. So there is no architecture yet, there is no plan yet, and there is nothing. So he just dropped the bomb again. I can say that there is nothing behind it. So it was just just guessing maybe, but it's still quite strong guessing, and maybe it's a bit more a bit too optimistic, maybe more optimistic like Elon Musk's timeline, because even Musk told previously that maybe the first humans could go to Mars in the middle of 2030s. And then Duffy came and he just mentioned that the first astronauts they could send in
Yeah,
about
yeah.
6 or 7 years. So
The
it's
th-
totally insane.
I mean, now with these two guys are competing, who can actually say larger or a bigger challenge,
Or more
because,
stupid. Sorry.
well, to be
No,
honest,
okay,
when
not stupid, but
some ambitious. Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
ambitious. Bit
that's a
too high up.
diplomatic way to
Yeah,
put
yeah,
it. So the thing is that when Elon Musk said that he wanna put 1 million people in 20 years, in 20 years, so 1 million is a crazy number, and 20 year is the other crazy number, and now Duffy comes up with this. So let's just see what do we have from what it takes to get there, right? So at the
yeah,
moment, we know for sure that we've got this orange rocket, and we've got the Orion spacecraft. So that's supposed to take us to the moon. Well, at the moment, as it stands, Orion cannot even take us to the moon, right? Alone, because you need
yeah.
a lander. It
Mhm.
just doesn't work by its own. You actually need to have some sort of landing capability, which Orion does not have. So that's all we have. And at the moment, we are building Starship. SpaceX is building hand in hand with NASA. So they are building Starship, but it's still not much we know about the HLS version, let alone going to Mars. Because going to Mars, the heat tile system should work completely, because
Mhm.
otherwise you cannot land, because you need to use your heat shield for Mars to land because it has an atmosphere, and why not to use the heat shield and, well, the atmosphere for landing. So not clear exactly how feasible this is in such short time.
Yeah, that's why it's quite interesting timing or plan.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Jonathan, we can have the video if you will. Probably stand for Starship because we have a nice SpaceX render.
yeah, of course, it's quite a quite nice animation how SpaceX will reach one day Mars, and it's yeah, it's quite catchy if I can say that. But yeah, it's not the very near future, so at least
No, it's not.
I wouldn't estimate anything because maybe I would wrong. So I would be wrong. So yeah, first maybe we had to reach moon. Then, as Sabi mentioned, we had to learn, for example, the ISRU, so the in-situ research utilization. For example, we have to learn how to work together with robots, for example, not with rovers like Percy, but like just for example the Optimus
Humanoid robots. Yep.
humanoid robots. Thank you. So because we require them, maybe I am not wrong with it. So first, the moon would be a nice aiming to learn the first steps, and after we can walk, then we could run. And Mars is too far for the very for testing anything for the first time. So at least the traveling to the Mars at least takes 8 months. Currently, with this current technology, what we know, then it wouldn't be just a couple of days mission on the surface of Mars. So let's say maybe 1 year or 1.5 year would be optimistic or logical. Then, of course, we had to take back the astronauts, which would take another 8 or 9 months at least. So it would take around at least 3 or maybe even more years. So there are some factors or yeah, factors what we have to take in consideration. So for example, the physical factors, the psychological factors. So that's why the moon would be a um, nice
Start.
nice opportunity to find out these solutions. Because if something happens on the moon, we could take back the astronauts much easier and much faster compared to Mars. So, and we haven't reached moon since 1972. So first we had to reach until Artemis 3, which is aimed at earliest 2027, around middle 2027. But maybe it's a bit more bit too optimistic goal already. So if it happens around 2027 or 2028, we could be lucky, or not we, but NASA and SpaceX. But maybe it can be delayed even longer. And after it, we had to collect everything what we can. I mean, datas and experience. And after it, after some years, we could try at least to go to Mars, but not with humans for the very first time, but first maybe with human robots. Then maybe in the next launch window, we could try to get to the Mars with the first humans, but it's a very risky way. So, and as you all know, hopefully we couldn't just launch anything to the moon, anything to the Mars every day. So there is a nice opportunity or launch window in every 26 months. So if we are just skipping one launch window, that means that the next launch window will be more than 2 years. So that's why I'm saying that these the beginning of the 30s, it's too optimistic, because that means the third launch window from this time. So it's I wouldn't say it's unreal, but very close from unreal.
Yeah, indeed. Just two things. One of them is regarding to the to robots. We know that Tesla is working on the Optimus, and I think that will come quite handy for SpaceX. I mean, both of them is Elon's company, so it's we don't even speculate with the fact that probably they're gonna be the first landing on on Mars, because to be fair, as the development of the Optimus is standing at the moment, I mean, if anybody's seen any videos regarding to that, that is mind-boggling. Let's just show that photo, Jonathan, if you don't mind, because it's unreal. I will dig out some video, probably some videos, but even though, just do your research. It's becoming so human-like. It's AI driven, so AI, with AI, it will be empowered with self-learning, and uh, it's already being thought of doing things that humans are doing. And in fact, it's gonna be so much useful, so much more useful on even on the moon or even Mars, to have humanoids like Optimus, because they're gonna operate in an environment where humans are living. So they are operating the same switches, the same vehicles, the same tools. So I can see it clearly that they gonna be there on Mars, or maybe not on Moon, but definitely on Mars before us. And they can be so useful in terms of establishing human species on Mars, because to get there, humans, you need to have the life support system, you need to have the radiation shielding on the spacecraft, and clearly, as David was saying, the psychological side of all these long journeys at the moment is pretty unknown. There are some tests, like a year study conducted at the moment, is going to be the second one. And when just a couple of humans are locked into sort of into an area, a small territory, and they need to survive and not kill each other for about a year. And that's super important, because I think most of the people, they don't understand that that's probably the most daunting aspect of actually sending people, humans, to Mars. And the only reason why it's so painful is because it's so damn far away. The alignment of the two planets is, just as David said, is 20 every 26th month when it takes to be in a perfect place. And our propulsion system is, if it would be more powerful, then we could overcome these problems. I don't know how many of you is watching For All Mankind. I'm a big fan of it, because it's
Yeah, me
so
too.
yeah, it's so realistic, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
especially the Mars aspect, that there is a company, a SpaceX-like company, that's basically racing with America, with the US, and with the Soviet Union, and and I don't know, it's just how to is how they gonna establish themselves. They don't have robotics in there, but the human aspect of it and how you need to get it done, it's super impressive. And I think there is one point when they actually come out with a better propulsion system, and they can cut down the journey time what we know today to like very fast sort of pace, and they just shorten the time of getting to Mars. That's what we need now, because we can clearly see that even going with Starship, this is gonna be a horrendous experience, let alone with Orion. I mean, Orion, it's a nice spacecraft, but to be locked in there for 8 months there and coming back,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, you don't have any live, how can I say, room to move around, or I don't think they could make it. So I think it's from thin air. It's just not a good idea to put people in there and just launching them towards Mars. So that definitely must be some sort of Starship size vehicle. But the big debate, I've just seen Tim Dodd's arguments on X, and he's actually proposing a vehicle that is actually okay. This is the HLS version of Starship, but he's proposing something that's smaller than the current size HLS version. I can hear with my imaginary hearing that a lot of people clapping, saying, "Yeah, finally!" Because it's so tall, it's gonna tip over immediately. But it's not the point. The point is the weight, that it's why to carry such a huge vehicle and refill the huge vehicle to get to moon. But as soon as we start exploring this idea, I mean, I just put an own logo on it, a space junkie logo. This is our logo because this is my creation on the right. This is just a normal size photo of a starship, and I just chopped it.
Just cut it.
Well, I just made a short version of it because we covered this in a previous conversation. This is actually Robert Zubrin's idea, the starboat idea. And I kind of like it because he says once, if SpaceX would build a similar size vehicle, then you could launch it to the moon and you can launch it to Mars as well because it's smaller. It takes less time to refuel on Mars. It would work on Moon as well, and I really like the idea because yeah, full size Starship. Yeah, if it's a cargo version, yeah, send it. But for humans, you have the payload size, the huge payload size, which can sort of host quite a number of people, and it can make it to Mars. So I think this should be a no-brainer, to be honest.
Yeah, but it seems there is no sign for that
No,
shorter version of Starship. To be frank, the Starship was designed actually for Mars missions, and in the meantime, NASA has decided to use it as another version. It called HLS, so Human Landing System version for the moon landing. But as far as we know, that's only for two missions, so Artemis 3 and Artemis 4, because if it will be realizing, the Artemis 5 will be joined to the party with the Blue Origin Blue Moon lander. So that's the only plan we know these days. And there is another story about the Mars. So yeah, maybe the first cargo ships should be like the normal version of Starship, so the normal longer version. But as a vessel between Mars orbit and the surface, it would be useful, this such of shorter versions of ships. But that's a very far future if it will be real some days. So yeah, there is no plan, as far as we know. There is no plan from SpaceX that they could make a shorter version of these ships.
still a very
Maybe
good
they,
idea.
yeah, but it's still a good idea from my point as well. So yeah, but as Sabi mentioned, first we had to solve these main technological and psychological problems. And the other big problem that, for example, the nuclear propulsion is still not at the horizon. So there were some plans, and maybe today or nowadays there are only some plans that in the middle term future, there will be maybe some nuclear powered spacecrafts. But of course, it's not a surprise that they couldn't be launched from Earth because it would be too risky and too dangerous. So these ships would be useful only in space, in the deep space traveling or journey. So still, we have to solve the problem with what kind of vehicle should be launched the astronauts at least to low Earth orbit, because Starship wouldn't get the permission to launch humans at least, I don't know, 4 years, let's say, because it's too risky, it's too complicated, it's too everything.
The
So
thing is no point sending their people for certain death, and I don't think
yeah,
that NASA would allow it. I highly doubt that they will let people leave, even though they are willing to die there. This is not the old times of, shipping around the earth and let's discover new land and happens whatever. I don't see that happening. What I can probably see in the near future is that we can see that there are private space stations are coming up, like Vast,
mhm,
and but there are other examples as well. And so this is something that will be launched next year, and as you can see, it will be serviced. Well, it will be supplied with humans by a dragon, a cargo crew dragon. Sorry,
mhm.
but Vast is actually planning something larger than that. So this is now a huge volume. What we can see here, it might be rotating, creating some sort of artificial gravity. And I can see that what if certain companies come together and let's say one company will build a propulsion system for this. And again, I point back to For All Mankind, not because For All Mankind is the future prediction, it's just good ideas. It's a good sci-fi, I think.
Yeah.
And this is what happened, that they had this Polaris station, but they had mega big problems with that and people nearly died, some people died. And then they give some extra propulsion, and then that space station is being actually converted to something that took humans, and it's a big spaceship from that moment compared to the other competitors. So I can easily see that even just like one line of that, like four of these habitats together, and you just put the propulsion system at the back, do the calculations. If the delta V's are right, Starship to the back or to the front like a locomotive, and then just off you go. This would make such a huge difference, I think. But again, this is just mere speculation, and there is no funding, there is no basis for that. But I would give this idea a big thumbs up, to be honest.
Yeah, and just one thing to add that NASA has planned Mars traveling almost 3 decades or even more time or time frame, and it's still there isn't still at least a plan, an exact and feasible plan how to get humans to Mars. So they are just talking about this topic only, and there is no step forward at all. So, and if you're just seeing SLS, which is an old guy, if I can say that, so it's based on a 40 years old technology from
Yep.
everything which remained in the garage, let's say, from the shuttle area. They are just putting together and let's go. and it doesn't show that NASA has a feasible plan to make the future feasible, and they don't have long-term plans. Actually, they just they are looking for they are looking everything uh, like political reasons and financial reasons, unfortunately, and not and based on science and future technologies. And that's why for example, SpaceX and of course the other companies would be useful because they have a totally different mindset. So they are not political driven. They are not, of course, they are financial driven, but that's their goal: how to make their life much easier. But in the meantime, they could put everything together. So NASA could add the decade long experiment or um, experience, sorry, and the companies could add the much easier and much shorter time development way, the much easier um, solutions of the problems, and of course, yeah, again, the mindset, how they look into the problems, how they want to solve it. And yeah, maybe that would be the only solution for the entire American space program if they would cooperate together, because the only hand can't do what the other hand could do only together. So maybe you know what I'm talking about. So the NASA is a big giant with two hands, but as Sabi mentioned, the other doesn't know what the other wants to do. So, and even with these cuts, which are not caved in the stone yet because they are only plans. So if you just looking, we are looking into the 26 budget, it doesn't seem that NASA guy or the Senate guys knowing what to do. So they just I don't know. They are looking everything from their side to put even more money into their pockets, and that's quite a big problem.
Yeah, it's definitely is a changing world, and we can see probably, yeah, we can call it as well, old space and new space. Um, with the introduction of SpaceX and seeing what they achieved with the Falcon 9 fleet, and how they are bringing down the cost of launching stuff to space, is definitely revolutionary. It's still, I know we get this complaints all the time that as long as they're burning stuff for rockets, I don't give a damn about this technology because it's the same like what we did 60 years ago. Yeah, sure. It's exactly the same thing, but is it? I mean, the fact that we don't throw away stuff is already a big step forward. And it can be a burden to carry because we can see that, you know, instead of just sending a capsule to the moon, now we are sending basically a third stage, a complete third stage to the moon and back, or in that case, to Mars and back. And in terms of technology, that's not a good idea because it's not useful to have such a big vehicle for the purpose. But in the same time, then there is always a question, that an underlying question, that so then how? Because if you keep on throwing away stuff, I don't think that's ever gonna make a difference on the long run. If you always throw away stages that you don't need just to make it more cheaper, or maybe not even cheaper, but to manage the problem, because it's not solving the problem but managing. And SpaceX definitely pushing the boundaries, but this is just the first step. They definitely, maybe it's not gonna be SpaceX, maybe it's gonna be another company that gonna come up with, I don't know, a revolutionary propulsion system, because that's the key. If you can get more juice, or if you can burn your engines longer, maybe with not as high specific impulse than as something else, as a rocket, as we know, a rocket engine as we know today, but you can burn it for much longer and it will last for much longer. That will be a game changer because you can keep on accelerating, let's say with 1G only, but if you do that for 2 weeks, I don't know, that's already quite some speed. So,
Yeah.
but it means that you need to break away from the old stuff, from the old way of thinking, and you definitely need to think out the box. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I yeah.
currently, until the technology is based on the chemical engines, then we we shouldn't expect too much.
Well, let's just say that it has its limits, but instead of just sitting on the hands, and because that's what a lot of people actually proposing, until we don't have any better solution, then we shouldn't be paying attention. Yeah, but then what to do, right?
Yeah, and
Just
where is the
wait
better
around.
solution?
Yeah, wait around and somebody will come up with a better proportion idea. No, of course not. This is not how it works. I think sailing between continents was far from ideal. But if you don't have anything else, it still doesn't stop you to cross the ocean, right? And keep on building your future. Okay, it's not always a good parallel, but or comparison, but that's how it works. Humans are, made for exploration,
Mhm.
and a lot of people will take the risk and build the hard stuff. So despite SpaceX was tumbling this year and had a lot of setbacks, I still pretty much have the faith in the company and the other companies who will follow, like Relativity Space, Rocket Lab, and who knows what else, Vast, and the other companies who's gonna build the cool stuff, because you build on those foundations. So yeah, I'm super hopeful, to be honest.
Yeah, of course, everyone has to learn their lessons, even the new companies. But that's the life of a normal company. So that's why I said that we shouldn't expect too much too early. So that's why it's quite strange how Sean Duffy looked into the future, or I don't know what what he has done with himself, and how this idea came from his mind that the first humans could go to Mars in just about 6 years, let's say. So it's totally insane idea
Yeah.
for now, and I wish I would be wrong, because if somebody just coming up next week, let's say that okay, we have found something, and okay, here is a nice nuclear propulsion system, and let's do it. Let's use it, and who pays more? Then okay, there you go. There is your spaceships, and just go. So, but yeah, the current situation doesn't look like that. So
No.
yeah, until Starship is not operational, at least,
Yeah.
um, we are just blinded. So
Yep. Okay, so before we go, so Flight 11 might happen early October because of tiny setbacks with the preparation of Ship 38, but that will get on track this week, right? So they will transport ship,
hopefully, yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
hopefully this week, and then the preparations are going. They're gonna finish the second stage. The first stage is kind of pretty much, well, as far as we think, is pretty much ready to go after a successful static fire test. So hopefully end of September, but most likely early October, we might see the very last one of the second generation Starship being launched from Pad A, Pad
Mhm.
A, Pad 1.
Or one, yeah,
Pad
A or
1.
one.
Okay, I'm always keep forgetting which one is the old one and the new format. So Pad 1, and we're gonna wave goodbye for Pad 1 and the old OLM and the lags and all that stuff. And then hopefully we're gonna see some changes. And yeah, and that's definitely gonna be an end of an era. at Starbase, and we will see how version 3 gonna do. Because, I mean, I can say it cannot do worse than the version 2, but God knows.
Maybe it will be more successful than V2 because with that there were many problems.
Yeah. I can see comments from the real Mr. Incredible about terraforming Mars. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure if that ever gonna happen. I mean, probably if you have unbelievable technology at your disposal, then probably you could terraform a whole planet. But Mars is lacking, as a planet, is lacking those things that could keep that terraformed circumstance on the planet. So the air, it doesn't have a magnetosphere. Yeah, there are problems, but it doesn't mean that one could not live there. It would be nice to terraform Mars. Probably we will know something that we don't know right now. And that would be, but most likely there are technologies that will enable us to do that. But I think it's far away. And there are some good plans to build certain stations, certain bases on Mars. There's a Hungarian guy who has a pretty cool idea about that. And yeah, we will see. I mean, I don't think we will see that happening, but it would be
Who
nice.
knows?
Who knows? All right. Anything else to add? Maybe David, or
I
shall we
guess
wave?
we have talked about everything for today, what we have planned.
Okay. Okay, then we're gonna wave goodbye. Thank you for this week. We gonna come back next week if nothing comes up or no obstruction will prevent us from doing so. So we see you next week, and yeah, just stay tuned. Follow. What about it? 2 episodes every week, Tuesdays, Fridays. That's your regular source of space information. And of course, definitely smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, both channel. They have this plus channel as well. What about it plus? And they have a 24/7 live stream, what you can see at the moment at the picture at the screen. So yeah, just follow the guys.
Yeah, so hopefully next week we can come with nice and good news about the ship engine tests. And yeah, we see you next time, next Monday. And until that, take care.
Have a good week. Take care, guys.
Bye bye.